The great chamber of the Galactic Council was silent. 200 species sat in their designated seats, arranged in a massive circle that stretched higher than any building on Earth. Lights of every color floated in the air, representing the flags of ancient civilizations that had existed long before humans learned to make fire. Ambassador Yuna stood alone in the center of this circle. She was a small woman with short black hair and calm eyes. She wore a simple gray suit. Nothing fancy. Around her, aliens of every shape and size watched with curiosity, amusement, and some with open disgust. High Speaker Velen rose from his elevated throne. He was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and forearms that moved like water. His voice echoed through the chamber, translated instantly into every language. "Humanity," he began, spreading his arms wide. "You have traveled far. 87 years ago, you were trapped on a single world, fighting among yourselves. Now you have 14 colonies. You have proven yourselves worthy of our attention." Yuna said nothing. She simply listened. "The Galactic Council has watched your progress," Velen continued. "We have seen your determination, your creativity, your surprising ability to survive. And so, after much debate, we have decided to offer you the greatest honor any species can receive." He paused for effect. The chamber was completely silent. "We invite humanity to join the Galactic Union." A wave of murmurs spread through the chamber. Delegate Mora, a short creature covered in soft brown fur, leaned forward with genuine excitement. She had argued for years that humans deserved a chance. Now her dream was coming true. Velen raised one hand, and silence returned. "As members of the Union, you will receive many benefits. Our trade routes will open to you. Our technology will be shared. Our fleets will protect your worlds from any threat. You will have seats on the minor councils, with the possibility of advancement in time." Yuna tilted her head slightly. "And what do we give in return?" Velen smiled. At least, Yuna thought it was a smile. "With aliens, it was hard to tell. Very little," he said. "You will place your military forces under council oversight. This is for coordination purposes only, of course. And your expansion will follow council-approved pathways. We cannot have new members accidentally starting conflicts with established powers." "I see," Yuna said. "Is that all?" "There are minor administrative requirements. Your government structure must align with Union standards. Certain council observers will be stationed on your worlds to ensure smooth integration. But these are small matters." Yuna nodded slowly. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of various delegates. Some looked eager, some looked bored. A few, she noticed, looked almost sad. "High Speaker Velen," she said, her voice clear and steady, "I thank you for this offer. The people of Earth are honored that you consider us worthy." Velen's smile grew wider. "However," Yuna continued, "I must respectfully decline." The chamber exploded. Delegates jumped to their feet. Translators struggled to keep up with the shouting. Velen's smile disappeared instantly, replaced by something cold. "Decline?" he repeated, as if he had never heard the word before. "Yes," Yuna said simply. "No." Delegate Mora pushed through the chaos and rushed to the center floor. Her small paws grabbed Yuna's arm. "Ambassador, please reconsider," she begged. "No species has ever refused the council. You do not understand what this means. The opportunities you are throwing away." Yuna looked at Mora with genuine warmth. Of all the aliens she had met, Mora seemed the most sincere. "I understand perfectly," Yuna said gently, "and my answer is still no." High Speaker Velen descended from his throne. The crowd parted before him like water before a ship. He stopped directly in front of Yuna, towering over her small frame. "Perhaps you did not hear correctly," he said, his voice dangerously soft. "Perhaps the translation was unclear. Let me explain again. The Galactic Council is offering you protection. Without us, you are alone in a very large, very dangerous galaxy." Yuna met his gaze without flinching. "We have been alone for 87 years. We have survived." "You have been lucky," Velen snapped. "There are powers in this galaxy that would crush your little civilization without a second thought. The Council keeps them in check. Without our protection, you are nothing but prey. Then we will learn to run faster, Yuna replied calmly. Or we will learn to fight harder. Either way, we will do it ourselves. Velen stared at her for a long moment. Around them, the chamber had fallen silent again. No one could believe what they were witnessing. You are making a terrible mistake, Velen finally said. When you realize this, do not expect us to be so generous again. Yuna bowed her head slightly. A gesture of politeness, not submission. I thank the High Speaker for his concern. But humanity will chart its own course. We always have. We always will. She turned and walked toward the exit. Her footsteps echoed in the massive chamber. Every eye watched her go. Delegate Mora called after her. Ambassador Yuna, please, what will you tell your people? How will you explain this? Yuna paused at the doorway and looked back. A small smile crossed her face. I will tell them the truth, she said. I will tell them that the galaxy offered us a cage made of gold, and we chose freedom instead. Then she was gone. The chamber remained in chaos for hours. Delegates argued and shouted. Some demanded that the council pursue humanity with force. Others urged patience and diplomacy. High Speaker Velen sat on his throne in silence, his 4 hands gripping the armrests so tightly that cracks appeared in the ancient stone. No species had ever said no. In 10,000 years of council rule, every civilization had eventually joined. Some eagerly, some reluctantly, but all had bowed in the end. Velen did not understand what had just happened. But he knew one thing with absolute certainty. Humanity would pay for this insult. Far away, on a planet called Earth, an old soldier named General Daewoo watched the recording of Yuna's speech. His face was weathered by years of service, his gray hair cut short in military style. When Yuna spoke her final words about freedom, a rare smile crossed his face. He picked up a secure communication device and spoke a single sentence. Begin preparations. They will not take this well. Then he turned off the screen and looked out his window at the night sky. Somewhere, up there, among all those stars, a storm was coming, but Daewoo was not afraid. Humanity had survived ice ages, plagues, and wars. They had clawed their way from caves to the stars. The Galactic Council had no idea what they had just started. It begins, he muttered to himself. And for the first time in decades, the old general felt truly alive. 3 months had passed since Ambassador Yuna said the word that shook the galaxy. In that time, humanity learned just how long the Council's arms could reach. The sanctions came first. One by one, alien traders stopped visiting human ports. Supply ships that once brought rare minerals and advanced components turned away at the borders. The message was clear. If humanity wanted to stand alone, then alone they would stand. Admiral Taeho stood on the observation deck of Earth's largest orbital station, watching cargo ships float idle in the void. He was a tall man in his 50s, with a stern face that rarely showed emotion. But today, worry lines creased his forehead. They are trying to starve us slowly, said a voice behind him. Taeho did not turn around. He recognized the voice of Ambassador Yuna. They underestimate us, he replied. We built these colonies with nothing but determination. We can survive without their trade. Survival is not the same as living, Yuna said, stepping up beside him. Our people on the outer colonies are already feeling the pressure. Medicine shortages on Kepler 7. Food rationing on New Busan. The council knows exactly where to press. Taeho finally looked at her. Do you regret your decision? Yuna's eyes hardened. Not for a single moment. And neither should you. She reached into her coat and pulled out a small data device. This is why. Taeho took the device and activated it. A holographic display appeared, showing ancient alien text alongside translated documents. Dr. Hansu's team found these on Kepler 7, Yuna explained, hidden in ruins that the council told us were worthless archaeological sites. Taeho read in silence. As he scrolled through the files, his face grew pale. 34 species, he whispered. They absorbed 34 species, and then erased them. Yuna nodded grimly. Every civilization that joined the council eventually disappeared. The Valanthi, the Mur, the Hollow Singers, all of them welcomed into the Union with promises of protection and trade. All of them gone within a few centuries. How? Different methods each time. Some were relocated to controlled zones until their birth rates collapsed. Others were genetically modified to become dependent on council-provided medicine. A few simply vanished. No wars, no invasions, just quiet extinction. Taeho turned off the device. His hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. Does Dr. Hansu have proof? Real proof that would convince others? He has everything. Records, genetic samples, even archived communications from council officials discussing population management. Yuna's voice dropped. They called it cultivation, like we were crops to be harvested. Taeho stared out at the stars for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was cold as space itself. We cannot release this yet. Not until we are strong enough to survive the response. Agreed, Yuna said. But the council is not waiting. I received word this morning. They are sending another delegation. The second delegation arrived with great ceremony. Their ship was 3 times larger than necessary, covered in lights and symbols of authority. High Speaker Velen did not come himself. Instead, he sent Archivist Pela, an ancient being with gray skin and eyes that seemed to hold secrets. Yuna met her in a conference room on the orbital station. Pela moved slowly, her robes dragging on the floor. Ambassador Yuna, Pela said, her voice soft and dry like old paper. The High Speaker regrets any misunderstanding from our previous meeting. He wishes to present a new offer. I am listening, Yuna said politely. Pela placed a scroll on the table. Actual paper, which was a sign of great formality. Military oversight will be reduced to advisory status only. Your expansion zones will be doubled. You will receive a permanent seat on the High Council itself, not just the minor councils. And all current sanctions will be lifted immediately. Yuna did not touch the scroll. That is very generous. The Council values humanity, Pela said. We wish only for cooperation. And what of the administrative requirements? The observers on our worlds? Pela's old eyes flickered. These are negotiable. The Council is flexible. Yuna leaned back in her chair. Archivist Pela, may I ask you a question? Of course. The Valanthi, the Myrrh, the Hollow Singers. What happened to them? The room grew cold. Pela's face did not change, but her hands trembled slightly. I do not know these names, she said carefully. Strange, Yuna replied. Because I have records that suggest you were personally involved in their integration into the Council and their subsequent disappearance. Pela stood up abruptly. Her calm mask cracked just slightly. You do not understand what you are dealing with, she said, her soft voice suddenly sharp. The Council has maintained peace for 10,000 years. Some sacrifices were necessary. Sacrifices. Yuna repeated the word like it was poison. That is what you call the extinction of entire civilizations? We call it order, Pela snapped. We call it stability. Your species is young and foolish. You think freedom is a gift. It is a disease. It leads to war, to suffering, to chaos. The Council saves species from themselves. By destroying them, by guiding them, by controlling them, by ensuring they cannot harm themselves or others. Pela's eyes burned with ancient conviction. Join us willingly, and your people will live in comfort for centuries. Refuse, and you will learn what happens to species that threaten the balance. Yuna stood and walked to the window. She could see Earth below, blue and green and beautiful. My answer is the same as before, she said quietly. No. Pela gathered her scroll and walked to the door. She paused before leaving. Warlord Grath is already moving a fleet toward your outer colonies. 200 warships. You cannot stop them. We will see, Yuna said. Pela shook her head sadly. You truly do not understand. But you will. Then she was gone. Within hours, the news spread across human space. A massive council fleet was heading for the Hana system, humanity's agricultural heartland. If it fell, half the colonies would starve. General Daewoo called an emergency meeting in his underground bunker beneath Seoul. Admiral Tae-ho attended via hologram. We have 12 ships in the Hana system, Teho reported. Captain Bora is in command. She is requesting reinforcements. We have none to send, Daewoo said heavily. The main fleet is still weeks away from completion. Then we tell her to retreat. No. Daewoo's voice was firm. If we retreat now, we show weakness. Every system will fall. Every colony will surrender. Teho's hologram flickered. You are asking her to die. I am asking her to hold the line. Daewoo's old eyes met Teho's through the hologram. And I am telling you to finish those ships. Whatever it takes. In the Hana system, Captain Bora received her orders. She was a young woman with fierce eyes and steady hands. Her crew looked to her for guidance. She read the message twice, then addressed her people. We have 12 ships against 200. Command says to hold. I say we do more than hold. I say we show them what humans are made of. Her crew cheered. Bora smiled grimly. Let them come. The Hana system was quiet. 3 planets orbited a warm yellow star, their surfaces covered with farms that fed half of human space. On the 4th planet, too hot for farming, mining stations dug deep for precious metals. Captain Bora stood on the bridge of the battleship Defiance, watching her tactical display. 12 small dots represented her fleet, 12 ships carrying 6,000 souls who had volunteered to stand against impossible odds. Captain, her sensor officer called out. Multiple contacts emerging from faster than light. Count is 207. Bora did not flinch. Show me. The display filled with red dots. The Council fleet spread out like a net, surrounding the system from every angle. At its center flew the flagship of Warlord Grath, a massive vessel covered in weapons and armor. They are hailing us, the communications officer reported. Put him through. The screen flickered, and Warlord Grath appeared. He was a towering creature with thick green scales and small red eyes. Scars covered his face, each one a story of battle. Human commander, Grath rumbled, his voice deep and rough. I am Warlord Grath of the Galactic Council. You are surrounded and outmatched. Surrender your ships and your system, and I will grant you mercy. Bora tilted her head. What kind of mercy? Your crews will be taken prisoner and returned to Earth. Your ships will become property of the Council. The Hana system will be placed under our protection. Grath showed his teeth in what might have been a smile. This is generous. More generous than you deserve. Bora looked at her crew. They were young, most of them. Engineers, pilots, soldiers. They had families waiting for them. Children who would never understand why their parents did not come home. She looked back at Grath. No. Grath blinked. What did you say? I said no. We will not surrender. Not our ships, not our system. Not a single grain of rice from those farms below. For a moment, Grath seemed confused. Then he laughed, a deep booming sound that echoed through the transmission. You have 12 ships, human. I have 200. Your weapons cannot pierce our shields. Your shields cannot stop our weapons. This is not courage. This is stupidity. Bora smiled. Maybe, but we are human. Stupidity is what we do best. She cut the transmission. All ships, she announced over the fleet channel. Defensive formation Delta. Protect the planet approaches. Do not fire until I give the order. 12 ships moved into position. Compared to the Council fleet, they looked like toys, but they did not run. Grath watched the humans arrange themselves and shook his head in disbelief. In his 300 years of warfare, he had never seen such foolishness. Every species he had faced eventually recognized the reality of superior numbers. They negotiated, they surrendered, they begged. These humans simply said no. Fire warning volley, he ordered. Show them what they face. 50 Council ships opened fire. Beams of light crossed the void, striking the space around the human formation. The message was clear. We can destroy you, at will. The human ships did not move. Grath frowned. Perhaps they did not understand. Target the smallest ship. Disable it. A cruiser focused its weapons on a human frigate. The beam struck true, overloading shields and tearing through hull plating. The frigate shuddered but did not break apart. Emergency systems kicked in. The ship kept its position, and then it returned fire. The shot was precise. It slipped through a gap in the cruiser's shield rotation and struck the engine core. The Council cruiser exploded in a ball of fire. Grath stared in shock. One lucky shot. That was all. Surely just luck. All ships. Bora commanded. Weapons free. Space became chaos. Human ships darted between the slower Council vessels, firing with impossible accuracy. They knew they could not win through strength, so they fought with speed and precision. Every shot counted. Every maneuver had purpose. The Council fleet, designed for overwhelming force, struggled to adapt. Their ships were powerful but heavy. Their crews were trained for intimidation, not real combat. Most of them had never faced an enemy who actually fought back. Bora led from the front. The Defiance cut through enemy formations like a knife, drawing fire away from the smaller ships. Her crew worked in perfect harmony, each person knowing their role without being told. Captain, the Jinho is taking heavy damage. Tell them to fall back behind the Defiance. We will cover them. The Songyi has lost main power. Dispatch repair shuttles. Keep them fighting. One by one, human ships began to fall. The frigate Minho vanished in a flash of light. The destroyer Heirin broke apart under concentrated fire. The cruiser Sunggi sacrificed itself to save a colony transport that was trying to evacuate civilians. 3 ships lost, but the Council lost 47. Grath could not believe his tactical display. Nearly 50 of his vessels destroyed or disabled, and the humans still fought. They did not retreat, did not surrender, did not even seem to consider the possibility of defeat. What are these creatures? He whispered. Warlord, his second-in-command, reported. We are receiving reports of low morale among the crews. Many of them have never experienced actual combat losses. They are frightened. Of 12 ships. Of their willingness to die, sir. Our soldiers do not understand it. Grath slammed his fist against his command chair. Order all ships to concentrate fire on their flagship. Destroy the Defiance and the rest will fall. 100 ships turned their weapons toward Bora's vessel. On the Defiance, alarms screamed. Bora looked at the incoming fire and knew there was no escape. Her shields would not survive that barrage. Her engines could not outrun those beams. It has been an honor, she said to her crew. And then the stars changed. 150 new signatures appeared on every sensor in the system. They emerged from faster than light like avenging angels. Already in attack formation. Already firing. Admiral Tejo's voice filled every human channel. This is the United Earth Fleet. We are not too late. All Council vessels, you have one chance to withdraw. Take it. Grath stared at his display in horror. These ships were supposed to be under construction. His intelligence said the humans had no main fleet, yet here they were. 150 warships that had apparently been hiding somewhere, waiting for this moment. How? He breathed. He never got an answer. Tejo's fleet tore into the Council forces with devastating efficiency. Human engineering, human tactics, human fury. The Council ships that tried to fight were destroyed. The ones that tried to run were let go. Within an hour, it was over. Warlord Grath fled the system with less than half his fleet, leaving behind the burning wreckage of Council ambition. Bora collapsed into her command chair as the Defiance finally lowered its weapons. Her ship was damaged, her crew exhausted, but they were alive. Tejo's face appeared on her screen. Captain Bora, you held. She smiled weakly. You came. I made a promise to General Daewoo. We do not abandon our own. He paused. Your actions today saved millions of lives. Humanity will not forget. On the planet below, farmers watched the battle end and wept with relief. On the orbital stations, families embraced. And across human space, the news spread like wildfire. 12 ships held against 200. And when the main fleet arrived, the Council ran. For the first time, the galaxy began to understand. Humanity was not a young, foolish species that would bow to pressure. They were something else entirely. Something dangerous. Something free. And on his damaged flagship, retreating through space, Warlord Grath recorded a message for High Speaker Velen. His voice shook as he spoke. They cannot be intimidated. They cannot be bullied. When faced with certain death, they simply fight harder. I do not know how to defeat such an enemy. I am not sure anyone does. Far away, Velen watched the message with cold eyes. For the first time in his 300 years of life, he felt true fear, not of human weapons, of human spirit. The great chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so full. All 200 member species had sent their highest representatives. Some came out of curiosity. Some came out of fear. All came because Ambassador Yuna had promised to reveal something that would change everything. High Speaker Velen sat on his throne, his 4 hands folded in his lap. He looked calm, but those who knew him well could see the tension in his pale blue skin. The defeat at Hana had damaged his authority. Now this human woman was demanding to speak before the full assembly. He had agreed only because refusing would look weak. Let her talk, he thought. Let her embarrass herself in front of the entire galaxy. Yuna walked to the center of the chamber, just as she had months ago when she refused the council's offer. But this time she was not alone. Dr. Hansu walked beside her, carrying a small device. High Speaker Velen, Yuna began, her voice clear and steady. Honored delegates of the Galactic Council, I thank you for granting me this audience. Speak quickly, Velen said coldly. We have important matters to discuss. I could not agree more. Yuna gestured to Hansu. This is Dr. Hansu, Chief Scientist of Humanity's Archaeological Division. 6 months ago, his team discovered something remarkable on one of our colony worlds. Hansu activated his device. A holographic display filled the center of the chamber, showing ancient ruins covered in strange symbols. These ruins were classified as worthless by council surveyors, Hansu explained in a quiet, scholarly voice. We were told they belonged to a primitive species that died out long ago. But when we translated the symbols, we discovered the truth. The display changed, showing translated text alongside the original alien writing. These were the archives of the Volanthi people. They joined the Galactic Council 4,000 years ago. They were promised protection, prosperity, and partnership. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many delegates leaned forward, curious. Within 3 centuries of joining, Hansu continued. The Volanthi population declined by 90%. Within 5 centuries, they were extinct. Their worlds were redistributed to loyal council species. Their history was erased. Velen's hands tightened on his throne. These are lies. Fabrications designed to... I am not finished, Yuna interrupted. Her voice was polite but firm. Dr. Hansu, please continue. Hansu changed the display again. New ruins, new symbols, new translations. The Mur joined the council 6,000 years ago. Extinct within 4 centuries, the Hollow Singers joined 8,000 years ago. Extinct within 2 centuries, the Pale Wanderers, the Deep Swimmers, the Stone Builders. With each name, new evidence appeared. Archaeological records, genetic samples, population data. The display filled with proof of civilization after civilization that had trusted the council and disappeared. 34 species, Yuna said, her voice rising. 34 peoples who said yes when we said no. 34 cultures erased from history. The chamber exploded. Delegates shouted in every language. Some called Yuna a liar, others demanded explanations. Delegate Mora stared at the evidence with tears streaming down her furry face. This is propaganda, Velen shouted, rising from his throne. Human manipulation. They are trying to divide us. Then explain this, Yuna replied. Hansu changed the display one final time. The screen filled with internal council communications, complete with authentication codes and official seals. These were recovered from the archives themselves. Communications between high speakers and their subordinates, discussing what they called population management protocols. A new voice filled the chamber. An ancient recording, the voice of a high speaker who had died centuries ago. The Mur are becoming difficult. They question our expansion policies. They demand representation. Begin standard integration procedures. Within 2 generations, they will no longer be a concern. Another recording. Another high speaker. The Hollow Singers have discovered the remains of the Volanthi. They are asking uncomfortable questions. Activate genetic protocols. Reduce their fertility rates. This problem will solve itself. And another. This time, a voice that many in the chamber recognized. Archivist Pila. The cultivation project is proceeding on schedule. The target species show no awareness of their declining numbers. By the next census cycle, we will require only minimal intervention to complete the process. Pela stood frozen in her seat, her ancient face pale with shock. These records are incomplete, she said weakly. Taken out of context. The context is extinction, Yuna said coldly. The context is murder on a scale that makes human wars look like playground fights. Delegate Mora rose from her seat. Her small body trembled with emotion. I have served on this council for 60 years, she said, her voice breaking. I believed in its mission. I argued for humanity's inclusion because I believed we helped species flourish. She turned to Velen. Were we helping? Or were we just slowing the harvest? Velen's calm finally cracked. You do not understand. These species were unstable. They threatened the peace. We did what was necessary to maintain order. You murdered them, Mora screamed. Other delegates joined her. 17 species rose from their seats, demanding investigations, demanding truth. The careful unity that Velen had maintained for 3 centuries shattered in minutes. Order, Velen shouted. I declare martial law. All delegates will return to their seats, but half the chamber refused to comply. Species that had been loyal council members for thousands of years now looked at their leaders with horror and disgust. A holographic display flickered to life, showing the stern face of General Daewoo, transmitting from Earth. High Speaker Velen, Daewoo said, his voice calm and measured. The people of Earth have a message for you. Velen glared at the hologram. You have no standing here. Perhaps not. But I have truth. Daewoo's eyes swept across the chamber. We did not refuse your offers because we were arrogant. We refused because we have seen what you do to those who say yes. Every species in this chamber should ask themselves, how long until it is their turn? The chamber fell silent. Daewoo's words hung in the air like a judgment. Humanity offers nothing but honesty. He continued, we are not here to lead you or rule you. We simply ask that you open your eyes and see what your council has become. The transmission ended. Yuna looked around the chamber at the chaos she had unleashed. Delegates argued with each other and with their own aides. Some were already calling for transport ships to take them home. Others demanded emergency sessions to address the revelations. Delegate Mora approached her, still trembling. What happens now? Mora asked quietly. Yuna placed a gentle hand on the small alien's shoulder. That depends on you. On all of you. Humanity cannot save the galaxy, but we can show you what freedom looks like. In the days that followed, 3 species formally requested asylum with humanity. The Keyleth, led by Delegate Mora. The Shallow Swimmers, cousins of the extinct Deep Swimmers. And the Stone Children, who had discovered their ancestors were the Stone Builders. More would follow. The Galactic Council did not collapse. But it cracked. Deep fractures appeared in an institution that had ruled for 10,000 years, and in those cracks, something new began to grow. Hope. 1 year had passed since the truth shattered the Galactic Council. In that time, everything had changed. The council split into 3 factions. High Speaker Velen still commanded the Loyalists, those who believed order was worth any price. Delegate Mora led the Reformists, those who wanted to rebuild the council on honest foundations. And a growing number of independents had cut ties with everyone, choosing to stand with humanity. Admiral Tejo watched the reports from his command center on Earth's orbital station. The galaxy was in chaos, but it was the chaos of birth, not death. Old powers were falling, new alliances were forming. For the first time in 10,000 years, species were choosing their own futures. A communication alert flashed on his screen. Captain Bora, now promoted to Admiral after her heroic stand at Hana, appeared on the display. Admiral Tejo, she reported, her voice tense. We have a problem. Report. Warlord Grath is gathering his remaining forces. Intelligence suggests he is planning a direct assault on Earth. Tejo raised an eyebrow. He barely escaped our fleet last time. Why would he risk everything on a direct attack? Desperation. Velen's authority is collapsing. Grath believes that destroying humanity will restore fear and respect for the Council. He is wrong, but he does not care. How many ships? 300. Everything the Loyalists have left. Tejo nodded slowly. And our forces? 400 if we recall all patrols. More if the Independents join us. Call them home, all of them. Tejo stood and straightened his uniform. If Grath wants to end this, we will end it. 2 weeks later, the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled waited at the edge of the solar system. 400 human warships, joined by 50 vessels from the independent species who had chosen to stand with them. Kelith, shallow swimmers, stone children, and others. A rainbow of different designs and technologies, united by a single purpose. Tejo stood on the bridge of his flagship, the United Spirit. Beside him, Admiral Bora commanded the attack wing. Delegate Mora had insisted on coming, bringing a reformed council fleet of 30 ships to prove that not all aliens were enemies. Contacts emerging, the censor officer announced. 312 vessels. Warlord Grath's flagship is leading the formation. Tejo opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Admiral Tejo. The enemy before us represents the old way. Fear, control, extinction. We represent something different. Today, we show the galaxy that freedom is not weakness. Today, we show them that standing together is stronger than kneeling alone. He paused, looking at the stars around him. Do not fight with hatred, fight with hope. And if we are victorious, fight with mercy. We are not the Council. We do not destroy our enemies. We give them a chance to become something better. The channel closed. Tejo nodded to his weapons officer. Let him come. Grath's fleet surged forward. The warlord himself led the charge, his massive flagship bristling with weapons. He had nothing left to lose. His career, his honor, his future, all depended on this battle. The two fleets met at the edge of Earth's solar system. Space became a storm of fire and light. Council ships, powerful and heavy, pushed forward with brute force. Human ships, fast and precise, darted between them like fish between rocks. But this time, the humans were not alone. Kelith vessels, small but incredibly agile, disrupted council formations. Shallow swimmer ships, designed for underwater combat, used unpredictable three-dimensional tactics that confused the enemy. Stone children frigates, built for endurance, absorbed damage that would have destroyed other vessels. Grath watched his fleet crumble and felt rage building in his chest. Again, these humans were making fools of his forces. Again, they refused to die properly. All power to forward weapons, he ordered. We will break through their center and strike Earth directly. Even if we all die, we will take their homeworld with us. His flagship surged forward, smashing through the battle lines. Human ships tried to stop him but were brushed aside. Grath's eyes fixed on the blue planet growing larger in his view screen. For the Council, he roared. For order, a single ship moved to intercept him. Admiral Bora's vessel, the Second Chance, positioned itself directly in Grath's path. Warlord Grath, Bora's voice came over the communication channel. Your fleet is defeated. Your cause is lost. Surrender now and save what remains of your people. Grath laughed bitterly. Surrender? To humans? I would rather die. That can be arranged. Bora replied calmly. But I am offering you something else. Something the Council never would. A choice. Grath hesitated. His finger hovered over the weapons control. Your leaders used you, Bora continued. They sent you to die for their power, not for any noble cause. But you are a soldier, Grath. You fought because you believed in something. What did you believe in? The warlord's hand trembled. No one had ever asked him that question. Order, he said finally. I believed in order, in protecting the weak from chaos. Then help us build true order. Not through fear, but through cooperation. Not through extinction, but through growth. Bora's voice softened. You do not have to die here. None of your soldiers have to die here. Choose differently. Choose better. For a long moment, Grath stared at the blue planet before him. He thought of all the species the Council had erased in the name of order. He thought of the humans who fought not with hatred but with hope. He thought of what the galaxy could become if someone, anyone, was brave enough to change. Slowly, he lowered his hand from the weapons control. "All ships," he said, his voice heavy with exhaustion. "Stand down. We surrender." The battle ended. 6 months later, the first summit of the Confederation of Free Worlds convened on Earth's orbital station. Representatives from 40 species gathered in a new chamber, built in a circle like the old council, but with one crucial difference. Every seat was equal. No thrones, no elevated platforms, no symbols of dominance. Ambassador Yuna stood at the center, not as a leader but as a host. "This confederation is not a government," she explained. "It is a promise that no species will be conquered, controlled, or erased. A promise that we will face the future together, as partners, not as masters and servants." Delegate Mora rose from her seat. "The Reformist Council pledges to honor this promise. We cannot undo the crimes of the past, but we can build a better future." Other representatives stood and spoke. Keyleth, shallow swimmers, stone children, even Warlord Grath, granted asylum in exchange for his testimony against Velen, offered his support. "I was wrong about humanity," he admitted, his deep voice echoing through the chamber. "I thought freedom was chaos, but I have seen what true chaos looks like. It is the Council's fear, the Council's control, the Council's extinction protocols. Freedom is not the absence of order, it is the presence of choice." The summit lasted for days. Agreements were made, disputes were settled, and slowly, carefully, a new order began to take shape. Dr. Hansu established an institute dedicated to recovering the histories of the 34 lost species. With help from alien scientists, he began piecing together their cultures, their achievements, their memories. They could not bring the dead back to life, but they could ensure they were never forgotten. Admiral Bora was given command of humanity's new flagship, which she named Second Chance. It became a symbol of what the Confederation represented: the belief that anyone, even former enemies, deserved an opportunity to become something better. On the observation deck of Earth's orbital station, Admiral Tejo watched ships from a dozen species arrive for a celebration marking the Confederation's first anniversary. Keyleth transports flew alongside human cruisers. Stone Children cargo vessels traded goods with shallow swimmer merchants. Even a few reformed council ships joined the gathering. Ambassador Yuna joined him, 2 cups of tea in her hands. She offered one to him. "Do you think we did the right thing?" she asked softly. Tejo accepted the cup and looked out at the stars. "The council ruled for 10,000 years, he said. They brought peace, but it was the peace of the grave. They brought order, but it was the order of chains." He turned to face her. "We have not solved every problem. We have not created paradise, but we have given the galaxy something it never had before. The freedom to choose, the freedom to grow, the freedom to make mistakes and learn from them." He smiled, a rare expression on his stern face. "We did not just save ourselves. We reminded the galaxy what freedom looks like." Yuna smiled back and raised her cup. "To the future," she said. "To the future," Tejo agreed. And across the galaxy, on 100 worlds, beings of every shape and size looked up at the stars and saw something new. Not the cold light of distant rulers, but the warm glow of possibility. The old order was gone. A new dawn had begun.